All right. We've got the UN trying to get Japan to change its ways again. This has happened several times now, at least one other time. So this would be the second time that they've done this, and they have concerns. They're concerned because Japan largely ignored their last report. At least that's what I saw from the report that Niche Gamer has that I'm going to go over. So once again, people from other countries are trying to tell Japan how they need to do things. And when you read this report, UN to urge Japan to end discrimination against women. Well, that sounds great. Let's stop hurting women. Well, some of the main things in this report that they had were censorship on anime, video games, and manga regulations. So they want Japan to have more regulation on their art, basically. And this is a no-no with this politician, Yamada Taro, who pretty much ran on being a weeb. Like his whole he's like in their house, and he won his position on basically saying, listen, I'm going to protect anime and manga and video games. I don't like censorship. I don't like people coming in and trying to change our art. That was his position. Unless that's changed, I would love to hear from some of my Japanese subscribers in the comments on this guy. But he seems pretty cool from what I've gathered on him. I'm pretty sure I ran a video on him years ago, talking about how he won his political position basically on defending Japanese art, which I thought was pretty cool. Because they do need strong political leaders over there to safeguard the way they do things. Because I don't think they should have to change anything. You should be able to make the art that you want to make. Whether or not it's accepted by consumers or not, that's up to them. But I do believe in free speech. And from what I've gathered on this guy, he's basically a free speech advocate. So the UN did have that meeting, and they had some critiques. Like I said, they're concerned because basically Japan ignored their last report. UN committee criticizes Japanese media may incite violence against women and girls. That's right. Because everybody that watches anime just gets up and wants to just go beat women or something. This is the most ridiculous shit that I've seen in a while. But this has been a thing going on for a long time. And you're seeing corporations buckle to Western censorship. How we've seen it in the video game side of things quite a bit lately, haven't we? So there is a concern about this stuff. And it's always funny to me when we see these people go and push Japan to change. These are the same people that run around and demonize the West, calling them colonizers, and the people from the West criticizing the West, by the way, the most woke, liberal type of people you ever met, talking about colonialization and all of that shit. And then basically here they are trying to push their worldviews on Japan. Like they bully Japan quite a bit. And Japan actually has some of the most diverse content there is. I mean, there's whole sections of manga dedicated to like gay and lesbian love stories. They're like romance novels and stuff. It's like a whole thing. I think it's called like Yuri and Yahweh or something. I don't know that. I don't read this stuff, but I know it exists. And like that's mainstream stuff you can go buy in stores. Like so there's more content. Let me put it this way. There's content for everybody in the at least the manga area for people over in Japan. But it doesn't matter because they still have sexy anime characters and stuff like that, and that's got to go. Even though I was just reading something, and I might at least talk about this on Saturday's live stream, this study talking about how women prefer to play as sexy characters. Here's the study right here. I might do a video on this, or I might just talk about it Saturday, but It's very interesting. We will go over it, but here's what happened, basically. The United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW. What a waste of money this is. Not like, why are you patrolling anime when there's actually like real problems? Like, for example, some of the stuff in the Middle East with women, like them not even being able to drive cars or get an education, or I don't know, like having to ask their father's permission to go outside. Some of the stuff that happens over there, I would say that should be higher up on the priority list than, I don't know, cartoon drawings and video games. But whatever. We know what this is all about. It's the fact that anime and video games are high up there in popularity, and they make a lot of money, so they want to control it and regulate it, so it falls more in line with the rest of the bullshit that comes out in the West. According to has reportedly expressed concerns about Japanese media and the speculated impact it could have on gender and sex-based violence. Because people sit down and watch Sailor Moon, and then they want to go out and just start slamming women around. According to free speech advocate and politician Yamada Taro, the Japanese Cabinet Office, Gender Equality Bureau, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed the contents of their meeting with the CEDAW. However, nothing further was said about the current state of Japanese media. The Japanese government has been thankfully slow to respond to external pressure when it comes to censorship of Japanese media, although the same cannot be said for its corporations. And I talked about that a little bit. The companies, they're just jumping to get involved with DEI, and it's quite sad. But for the time being, free speech remains enshrined in Japanese law with few exceptions. The problem, and he's going to talk about this, is that Japan hasn't really seriously discussed any of this yet. So we're kind of waiting on that, but it's good that people like this guy are there to fight that stuff. Because some of the best stuff now comes from Japan, because they can tell the stories they want to tell without, for the most part, people breathing down their neck on what it can and can't have and what's right, what's wrong. They can pretty much just create what they want. We get some of the best stories from Japan, in my opinion. At least now we do. It used to be a little bit more even, but honestly, like some of the best shit is anime now, in my opinion. And you might not share it, but there's great stories that come from that country now. And we don't really get that much from Hollywood because everything is either political or tries to be inoffensive. Like Venom 3 pretty much tried to not offend anybody. And we're living in wild times. So here's his statement. This is what he put out, and I showed you his post a little bit ago. This is just his post translated. On October 29th, the Committee of the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women published its concluding observations on Japan's 9th periodic report. This was prepared following a face-to-face review of the 9th report on the implementation of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which was held on October 17th. Now, here is the statement that Yamada gave today on social media. In this final opinion, concerns were expressed that pornography, video games, manga, and other animated products may incite violence against women and girls based on gender or sexual orientation. And I hate how naughty videos, basically hentai is, I think, probably what they're talking about here, are being mixed in with video games and manga. Also, Japan's, unless things have changed, rules on that stuff are pretty strict. At least from what I remember, unless it's changed, there's already rules and regulations on that stuff. It further recommended effectively implementing existing legal measures and monitoring programs to address the production and distribution of these things like video games and animation products that reinforce discriminatory gender stereotypes and reinforce violence against women and girls. However, the government has confirmed the content of the face-to-face screening, but no questions were asked about manga, anime, and games, despite not being checked during the face-to-face screening, and company expressed its concerns. The company expressed its concerns. The one-sided content denies the freedom of expression in manga, anime, and games and calls for them to be cornered through legal action and surveillance, which is extremely unjust. We will consider requesting that the sources and grounds be disclosed and also requesting a retraction if this is not possible. So that's his stance, and his stance is against censorship. In short, he's trying to say that Japan has done well to keep creative expression free so far, but the government hasn't fully decided if it will keep things as they are or introduce new limits based on outside advice. They haven't really seriously discussed it. So because they have not discussed it or talked about it, he doesn't know what the future is. But as of right now, they're doing a good job of letting people pretty much do whatever they want. So that's the latest in attempts to pretty much keep Japan under their thumb. I don't know. I think we probably are going to see some more censorship in time. But hopefully they have people over there like this guy that will fight it off and let them keep making what they want. But what does it matter if you already have corporations bending the knee? This other article from 2023 kind of talks about that. This game right here was censored by the CERO, which is their all ages board, basically. It's like, so what do we have over there? ESERB or whatever they call it. Video games kind of regulate themselves. It sounds like they've got an article, like a company or a group that does that over there as well. So, hopefully things don't get bad over there. But Savvy put out a post on this too, and she pointed something out, which is true. There's really no evidence that says that anime and manga is going to hurt anybody. They just kind of, and even if there is like some kind of study, it's a social science study, and social sciences have a massive replication problem. And what that means is they might do something in their lab at whatever company or school, but if some other school or company tries to replicate it, which means doing the same study, a lot of the times it fails, which is a problem, especially for something science-based. You should be able to replicate it wherever. As long as you have the instructions and what you're supposed to do, you should be able to make it happen. And that's a big problem for the social sciences, which does all of the research on anything talking about stereotypes or discrimination or prejudice. Anything like that falls under a social science, and they're not very reliable, at least result-wise, in my opinion. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you would, please share the video, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.